Hi, friend. I'm Mads, and welcome to Going Mads podcast, where we'll be talking everything mental health, self care, positivity, and all the different types of neurodivergencies. This is a safe place where we'll get vulnerable, talk about all our struggles without judgment, and even share what works for us and some simple self care habits that we enjoy doing to help our mental state. I do want to say that I am not a professional or a doctor of any sort. I am here just to share my experiences and share other people's experiences and be able to share our stories. And if you can relate to it, all the better. But I'm not here to tell you what to do or how to manage what you may have. So, with that being said, do not listen to all of my advice because, again, I'm not a professional. I'm just here to share my story and my experiences along with my guests. With that being said, today we'll be talking about OCD and bipolar disorder today.
Well, hi, this is Lizzie. She is an amazing content creator who I just fell in love with immediately whenever I found her account. And yeah, so Lizzie, tell us a little bit about you.
I am Lissie. I am a content creator as well. Well, that's a lot, guys. I do a combination of both activism and influencing, I guess. I am a disabled woman. I'm blind and chronically ill, and I do a lot of activism for that. And obviously, I'm fat. I do a lot of plus size fashion stuff, but then also fat liberation. And I just kind of like to cross those things together and make my own little genre of whatever it is I do.
Yeah, I absolutely love what you do because I feel like I'm constantly learning something new. And
Thank you.
I enjoy it. And plus you're always like full of aesthetics too. And it's like, I love it. I just love it.
Thank you. I actually just rewrote my mission statement, and like part of it was like educating people who aren't necessarily plus size or disabled on like the experience and like how they can be a better ally. So,
Yeah, that's exactly why I love following you because I want to be more of an ally for people like that. So
mhm,
very helpful for me to learn more about that. So I
that's
just
amazing. I love that. We love allies. Couldn't do it without them.
exactly. I feel like not a lot of people who don't struggle with those things don't know how to be a proper ally. So I love learning to be that person.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like that's a really great like thing to do.
Yeah.
Most people don't. It, most people don't care. Most people don't give a fuck. You can edit that out if you need to, but yeah, most people do not care.
And it's
So
because it's like we should be more thoughtful of others. And I think that's the whole purpose of why I even created this podcast is because I want more people to get an understanding of how everyone's brains work differently. Like
yeah,
as a person with ADHD and possibly autism, I think I'm on the spectrum, but I don't know. I'm not
yeah,
diagnosed, but I'm still kind of diagnosing myself with that. Um, but
relatable.
it's just my brain doesn't work the same as everybody's, and it's just I want to get that voice out there, and I feel like I hear so much about autism and ADHD. I don't really hear that much about OCD, bipolar types, because I know there's multiple types, and
Mhm.
borderline personality. So it's like I want to learn more about those as well. So I want to give
Yeah,
voices to those people. Oh, I'm spitting
that's
everywhere.
amazing. Love that.
Thank you. So I wanted to start off with when did you get diagnosed and like what made you want to go get that diagnosis?
Yeah. So for OCD, I did not get diagnosed until okay. This is interesting. I didn't know I had OCD until my psychiatrist was like, that's like very OCD. And then every now and then she'd bring up like OCD, and I'm like, wait, do I have OCD? And then I started looking more into OCD, and it explained a lot, like a lot. And then my OCD got to the point where it was debilitating. Like my daily life was, I couldn't. There were points where in the last few months, when it got to the worst part ever, worst point it's ever been since I was like a little kid, there were points where I could not move physically because I had this mental block because I was like obsessing over like what could go wrong. This isn't right. I need to fix this. I don't know how to fix this. I can't move. And so finally, maybe like a month ago, a month and a half ago, my psychiatrist was like, listen, you need medicine for this. because this isn't letting you, like, you can't. I actually asked for the medicine too because she had brought it up previously, and
Mm.
we just kinda came to the decision together of, like, "Yeah, I need to be medicated for this because I can't function." So OCD is a very recent paper diagnosis. It's a couple of years old, like, up in the air, but the thing about diagnoses with my current psychiatrist is really cool. She doesn't put things on paper unless she has to for insurance reasons. Because, and let me get on my little soapbox here. Neurodivergence and mental health disorder diagnoses are so stigmatized that they can literally, when you are a chronic illness patient, come back to bite you in the ass. So my psychiatrist is really good about not putting down paper diagnoses unless she has to for like medication insurance reasons.
Nice. That's
That
really
was a
cool to
long
hear.
that Yeah, she's really, my psychiatrist is great. And then bipolar, I got diagnosed when I was 17 because I had the most textbook mania known to man, and it hit like a truck. Like, I was depressed for about 8 months, like, catatonically depressed, and then I just became manic very quick, like, very suddenly, and hit psychosis really early on to that mania, and they hospitalized me and diagnosed me with bipolar type 1, severe, with psychosis mania.
Wow. Can you
So that's like a Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, you can go ahead. Continue what you were gonna say.
I was just gonna say that was like kind of a big thing to happen when you were like just 17, about to turn 18, and it's like all of a sudden, yeah, you're psychotic. And I'm like, oh, cool.
No,
And it's
no. That would be so frustrating because it's like I'm sure because high school is already hard as it is, and it's just already like there's so much anxiety and just
Mhm.
hormones.
I was taken out of public school and homeschooled slash unschooled after 5th grade because my OCD, anxiety, stuff like that had gotten to the point where I couldn't do school.
Yeah.
I could not do traditional mainstream school, and, I got taken out, and I was missing so much school because I was sick with anxiety. My OCD was that we didn't know I even had was really bad, and so by the time I was in high school, I was catatonically depressed for the most of senior year, so junior and senior year, where I did not get out of bed. I did not, um I couldn't barely speak, talk, eat. I was so depressed. So like bipolar does have manias, but and my bipolar has severe manias, but those depressions can be
Hard.
really, really hard.
Personally, with my depression, it's very different because my ADHD also kind of affects my executive dysfunction.
Mhm.
So it's like it can look like depression at some points, and other times it's just like, no, I just really just can't do anything. Um,
Yeah.
but no, whenever I'm depressed, it's hard to do anything at all.
Yeah. I'm sorry, that got really heavy really
No,
quickly.
I'm so glad you did because like that's exactly what like what we want to do here is just
Okay.
share our experiences and hopefully help someone else with that. So whenever you
Yeah.
were in that deep depression, was there anything that helped you get out of that?
Mania.
Just to me, well. I mean, that's
Um,
a very valid point. Like sometimes nobody
yeah,
knows.
it was the mania that ended the depression, and so that's how I got out of that depression.
So
So
for
I
those
got out of a lot of my depressions, like, weighing back to the other side.
no, that totally makes sense. For some people who don't know what that is, can you please explain what mania is for you?
So for me, mania usually starts as what's actually called a hypomania, which is a lesser mania, basically. Like, it's not as mania, but it's still mania. And those can last undetected in me for weeks, months. I had one that lasted 3 or 4 months one time, and we didn't notice because we just thought I was this magical, mythical thing called stable, because I was good, I was happy, I was feeling good, I was doing stuff. Turns out I was just hypomanic. And what the hypomania is like is I just feel good. I'm confident, I feel happy, but the other side of it is I'm very irritable, extremely irritable when I'm manic or hypomanic, and I get impulsive and all of these things. And then usually what marks clinically, what marks a mania is the difference between a mania and a hypomania is a mania is all of that, but more severe. And one way to get from it has to be the more severe for 2 weeks or more, or you can enter psychosis and then it's automatically a mania. For me, the hypomanias, here, wait, I can draw it out. So it's like this line is gonna be stable, down here is depressed, right here is hypomania, and right here is mania. So I don't know if you can see that, but
Yeah.
um, and so what happens is my hypomania will go like this, and then all of a sudden I shoot way up.
Okay.
But at that little day or two moment where I'm in between mania and hypomania, we can see me start to go up, 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 and that at that point, I get scared. I can feel it in my gut when I'm about to be manic, and it's scary. Like every okay, so the traditional stereotypical view of mania is like, oh, it's so fun. No, it's so fun. It's not. It's scary as hell. Like, it's scary because you're not I don't feel in control. I a lot of times I'll have hallucinations, paranoia, delusions occasionally. Like, that shit's scary. And when I can feel it coming, I start to break down. Literally, like, I'll have mental, like, rock back and forth breakdowns. But it gets better usually. I'm on a really good cocktail right now, actually, of medications that have saved my life. So,
That's crazy. I never knew that mania could have that big of a scary part of it and be
mhm.
so not great because everyone that I know who does get manic, they always talk about the good stuff of it. They never say, "Oh yeah, it's fearful and I have all these bad things that happen." So I'm thankful you're sharing that. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, it definitely is just the fun part, and I am extremely jealous because my bipolar is very severe.
Mhm.
I'm well medicated at this point, but it's very severe, and it does get scary. It gets really scary, and I don't think everyone with a bipolar experiences that. I think I've got a more severe case. But another thing, I have more on bipolar, like, so we were talking about like a hypomania, the mania, the depression. There's more than that too, if you'd like to know
Yeah,
that stuff.
please. Go ahead and tell me, please. I love
Okay, so there's what's called rapid cycling, which I also experience, where usually with so rapid cycling clinically would be defined as a switch between manic to depressed within a 2-week period.
Mhm.
Um, and it's actually kind of funny because my bipolar, like I said, I go from depressed all the way up to psychosis mania, but sometimes that'll start words. My brain fog is bad today. I'm so sorry.
No,
But
you're does it often too.
it yeah, the longer I'm cycling, like it starts out slower and less severe, and then it gets more severe, and then it starts getting quicker, and I start rapid cycling. I have been the worst my bipolar was I had a really hard time these last few months since September.
That's when
And I was
you're
cycling
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was cycling a lot and it started getting quicker and quicker, and I mean there was a period of time, like maybe a week, where I cycled 3 or 4 times in that week.
Wow.
And then that led to mixed states, which is the most uncomfortable thing you can possibly experience because you're both manic and depressed at the same time.
Oh my god.
And the only way I know how to describe it is it's like a visceral itch inside my body.
That
Like
just
it feels ugh.
yeah, like you just wanna get out of your skin and you can't.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Because
no.
you're so depressed,
Yeah.
but then you're also manic. Not fun. It's not fun. So a few months ago, I was really cycling a lot, and I was rapid cycling, and I was mixed states, and I got on a new drug, a new, not new, but I mean, I got put on another medication, and it helped so much. And then my OCD started rearing its ugly head, and that's when my doctor about a month ago, my doctor was finally like, "Yeah, we need to do something about this OCD." But that's how the last few months have been for me.
Thank you for sharing that.
I don't
That I can't
Yeah.
I personally not medicated for anything, so I'm a little like jealous that maybe that it's working for you. And I'm glad it is working for you because that has to be hard. Like I cannot imagine how difficult that has to be living with and dealing with on a daily basis because I thankfully do not suffer with that, you know? So it's like I don't know. I'm glad you found a way to help with that. And I'm glad you have
Yeah.
those tools.
Yeah. Yeah, some people don't like medication, some people medication doesn't work for them, and I honor and respect that, but medication saved my life multiple times. I don't think I'd be here today without medications.
I'm so glad you're here.
Um, me too. Like, yeah, I am genuinely glad I'm here today, and that has not been the case for most of my life. Um, so I Right now at this moment, the last week or 2, my life has been completely 180'd because of the OCD medicine, and I really am just so I could babble about this OCD medicine for hours, but it has changed my life, and it's incredible, and I feel like I didn't know it would work, and I didn't expect if it did work to work so well, but I am finding a self I didn't know I had, and that's really incredible, so
That
woo, medication for me, not for everyone, but
Yay!
it works for me.
And you know what? And that's awesome. I'm glad it does because I want to be on medication. I just can't afford it at the moment
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I
it's
lost
so
my
expensive.
insurance. I lost my insurance 2 weeks ago because the government hates me and everyone else that's, like, above 26. But so I'm worried about what's gonna happen next, especially with my chronic illnesses and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's gonna go somewhere. I'm gonna get it figured out. But medication saved my life.
Can you tell me some of like the common symptoms of your OCD?
Okay. Yeah, like the stereotypical symptoms that I don't experience stereotypical symptoms, which is why often I do, but they're hard to see. That's why it took so long for me to be diagnosed because it started presenting when I was a kid. And no one noticed until I was 23 is when they first started mentioning OCD. Now I'm 26, so it's been about 3 years. But I have a lot of one word for it is pure O, but I don't like that term because it's not accurate. The pure O would stand for pure obsession, but there are compulsions, so just I perform in my head, but it was getting to the point recently where it was not just in my head, I was performing more and more outward rituals and compulsions. But the main most common ones that I experience, even if they're not visible, is I have obsessions, severe obsessions. I get the intrusive thoughts obsessions. I have compulsions, obviously. I get what like I said, a lot of my compulsions were mental. They are kind of like, stop thinking that thought or else it's going to happen. Unthink that thought or else it will happen. I used to spell out every word in my head before I could say it. And I'm not good at spelling. So if I got confused on how to spell a word, couldn't say the word. I have to take my medicine in a certain order every night. And like I think it's October when we were moving, I was convinced I took my medicine out of order and I had a whole meltdown and it was lasted like 2 days of just constant fear, like debilitating fear that my dad was gonna die because I took my medicine out of order. I have compulsions like I had never liked manifesting until I got medicated because I thought if I could manifest something good, it also meant that all of my bad thoughts would manifest. And the intrusive bad thoughts are not good. So just rituals, obsessions, compulsions, just a lot of my compulsions were not visible to others because they were in my head.
Well, I am glad that you ended up finding the help that you needed because
Yeah.
so whenever it comes to OCD, it sounds like that it's not all just a lot of people, especially whenever I was younger, everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, we're all like a little OCD, kind of like ADHD."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, when I want this in like a certain way." It's not like that. It's more like,
No, it is not.
and
It is not. I don't know if you ever watched the show Monk.
yes.
It's not that. It
Okay.
can be that, but it's not always that. Um, I do suffer from a subgenre of OCD called just right OCD, where I have to have things just right, and if they're not right, I have to fix them. But the thing is it's not like lining things up on my desk all the time. Like my desk is a mess right now. Like it makes my brain calm when I can line things up on my desk, but it's not just that. It's more of there's some arbitrary rightness that I don't decide. It's just random. My head decides it. And if it's not that, I have to fix it. And if it's something like plans that we had made go wrong, this is where it kind of overlaps with like autism and stuff. If like plans that we had made had to change, that can't, it's not right anymore. And I have to figure out how to make the plans go back. Or if the drive-through gives me the wrong food, I can't eat it. So that's more what just right OCD is, at least for me, than lining things up on my desk. One funny way that it presented when I was a kid though is I didn't play with my dolls and stuff like, ooh Barbie, ooh Ken. I
Yeah.
played with them by setting up elaborate displays of my dolls and like scenes basically, staring at them for a while. And sometimes I would just leave them there for days, like because that scene was right. And then when it was ready time to play again, or I wanted a different scene, I was ready for a different scene, I'd set up a different scene. And then that was playing for me.
I love that.
Yeah, it's very like, oh, this child is neurodivergent.
Yes. So whenever you got diagnosed, whenever you look back on it, did it like finally click and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
there was
very much
something here?
so.
That's exactly how I felt whenever I got diagnosed with ADHD. It was both like, why, how did I not know? How did no one know? But also
Mhm.
like, oh my God, I have answers now though. So
Yeah, literally. And it's also I the funniest part about that is I didn't get seek a diagnosis for this. I had no idea that this is what OCD could be like until my doctor suggested it. I started researching it more. I'm like, damn, I've had OCD this whole time.
yeah,
And then when I got medicated and my brain felt quiet and there weren't 1,000 thoughts of like how this can go wrong. Like every time I made a decision, it was like 1,000 thoughts of how it could go wrong. And it didn't. Like not having that going on constantly, it's like, is this what normal people feel like?
quiet. Is their mind just always quiet? Because yeah, no, I can't relate to that.
No, I still have a lot of like obviously I still have thoughts and
Yeah.
it's very much like I still have the ADHD, autism, whatever. I have combined neurodivergencies of some sort. And so I think yeah, I still have a lot of like thoughts, but they're not always awful horrible. This is going to happen if you don't do this thoughts,
Right.
which is incredible.
Yeah, if you can give any advice with anyone with OCD or bipolar, what would you tell them?
Keep going, seek help. It can get better. Your brain can be quiet if you go with treatment. Or if you see, I mean, yeah, it might, you have a chance of your brain being quiet one day.
Yeah, we had talked about it in the past. I put on one of the trending little stickers and it said, do this or 2 years of bad luck or something. And you said it was triggering.
Mhm.
Are there any other trends that have been triggering for your OCD?
Basically, anything that's like, do this or this. Like, you remember the old chain mail or
Oh
like
my
chain
gosh.
comments? Like,
Yes.
if you don't repost this, your mom's gonna die. Like,
Yep.
that, yeah, that killed
So
me as a
anything
kid.
like that. Okay. Can you?
Even even the step on a crack and you'll break your mother's back
I hated
as a
that.
kid, that little sidewalk, that little kids rhyme.
Mhm.
I'd step on a crack and be like,
Can you explain how it's triggering?
it goes back to that manifesting. Like I was saying, manifesting freaks me out. because it'll just happen. Like, it will happen. Superstitions are really bad for me. I am always like, I'm getting married in November,
Mhm.
and I will not put knives on my wedding registry because there's this old superstition that it'll cut your relationship. I'm like,
I've never heard
can't
that.
do it. Yeah, but different superstitions, like, I looked up a list of wedding superstitions, and now I'm avoiding all of them because I'm not the smartest in that. I looked up a list of these when I knew it would trigger me. I knew it would trigger me, but my OCD had gotten to the point where it's like I had to do everything to fix everything and make sure nothing bad would happen.
Yeah.
Like, I have chronic fatigue syndrome slash myalgic encephalomyelitis,
Mhm.
which is a disease that's characterized by the more you exert, the less energy. That doesn't make sense. The energy you lose from exertion does not equal the amount of exertion. So, like, if I can't walk more than a few hundred feet unsupported, not even that far unsupported, because if I do, I can't, like, I just can't. And I can't have a full day of fun without spending the next 2 or 3 days in bed. So that's my chronic fatigue syndrome. It's too much exertion causes lack of energy, like complete lack of energy. Like, not doing very good at explaining it. Whatever. Look it up if you are listening
Yeah,
and don't know what
perfect.
it is.
If they need to look it up, they can.
Yeah, but the less I've been, cognitive energy affects it too. Counts as energy with it. And if I like, the less I have been obsessing, basically, and compulsing and ritualing since I got medicated, it's like I have more energy overall. 2 months ago, if I had been doing this podcast, I would not be babbling like this. So maybe we should have done it 2 months ago. But
No,
if we like,
perfect
if this
time.
was 2 months, if this was 2 months ago, it would be like I would be dragging, and it would be like my cognitive function would be so low. Yeah, my cognitive function is still not as high as, like, it would be if I didn't have sickness, but
It's higher than what it was.
mhm, and my physical energy levels are slightly higher. Like, I've been able to, like, do my to-do list some days, and, like, my to-do lists are just a little bit longer than they were, which my to-do list used to be, like, one thing, and now it's, like, 3 or 4.
Awesome. That's awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
So medication really has helped, and I love that.
Yeah. Moral of the story, medication has saved my life in multiple ways, multiple times.
For those that want to keep up with Lizzie, I will have her socials and everything linked below. Um, is there anything that we need to look forward to?
I wish. Not really. I don't have
Nothing,
much coming up.
nothing
I
coming up.
have some other podcasts that are coming out, but that's about it.
So that is our episode with Lizzie. I hope you are enjoying the podcast so far. If so, please don't forget to leave a review or leave your rating for it. I am enjoying myself and having a lot of fun doing this, so your support would mean a lot to me. I would like to know how you are enjoying the podcast as well, and if there is anything you'd like to hear or if you have any questions or anything, please reach out and you will hear from me next week.